In today's video, I'm going to take you through a student's progress report. Now, last week we had looked at USMLE preparation structure that you could use almost everybody for your step 1 and step 2 CK preparation. And I told you I'm going to take you through what you can expect, what you can expect your progress to look like as you follow that structure. Today, I'm going to take you through a student's score report on UWorld, basically how her score progressed, so that you see what your scores may look like and don't make the type of mistakes that cost this student to actually spend a very long time preparing for the exam. Without wasting any much time, let's jump right into this video. All right, here we go. This student was interesting for several reasons. Firstly, because she's been preparing for the exam one of the longest I have seen. I think I've seen only one person that has been prepared for this exam longer than she has been. That is the primary thing. And the second is the number of psychiatric evaluations she had received, the number of diagnoses she had gotten, and which leaves something to be said, because I've seen an awful lot of medical students that get all these diagnoses and psychiatric evaluations during their preparation for the USMLE or even during their life through med school. And we'll make a video on that. Are you really depressed? Are you really dyslexic? Or is your psychiatrist just nuts? We are going to talk about things like that. Okay, so here we have this report. This student had written the MBME sometime in 2017. Oops, she had written the MBME sometime in 2017 and gotten, I can't find a good pen. Okay, here we go. I think I got a good pen and gotten a 137. She had written the taken a program, a course, I guess, and written the exam again in 2018 with a 140, in 2019 with a 190, with 2020 with a 190, and then sometime last year with a 167. So it looked like the more time she was actually spending, she looked like she was making progress, and then she looked like she was seriously regressing. And then she took the assessment that this program gave her and got 61% and 57%. And she's gone through this program about 3 times, if I remember correctly. So when I met her, I said, okay, you've done all this studying, you've done first aid, you've done the Q bank that this program gave you, which was not UWorld, and you're still where you are at, meaning that clearly everything you're doing does not seem to be working. So I had to make a schedule for her. For a student in her capacity, ideally, I would say if you studied for this long, you probably shouldn't study. Maybe studying is not the problem, but in her case, she actually needed to study, but she needed to study correctly, and she needed to be shown what correct study actually looks like. So we had to get a schedule to try to get her studying hopefully correctly and preparing for the exam. And the schedule just looked basically roughly like this with durations, and I was meeting her in between. Now, this is what has caused this is where I wanted to focus on. From the last video, I told you I was going to share this result, and I'm going to show you what you could expect your progress to look like. When she started out initially, the very first assessment she wrote was a 32%. Now, what she told me was in the past, if she scores a 32%, what she's going to do is go back and study the system again, because 32% is so bad apparently. Instead of just reviewing the block and maybe trying a second block, or even if she did, she just said her assessments were always around 30% and all of that. So I said, okay, we are going to review this block of UWorld together, and then we are going to see if you're going to make improvement after that. So we went through the block. I pointed out where she had problem, what she may be missing, what she might not be missing. And then she did another block and she was at 52%. And then she had 48%. I said, it's okay to get 48%. Again, review thoroughly. Do another block. It was just a 51. And she said, oh my God. I said, that is still fine. Review again thoroughly and then do the next block. And she was able to hit an 80% for general pathology on UWorld. Now, it goes to show you, for example, that there's nothing wrong with getting 32% initially. I emphasized this in the last video. There is nothing wrong with getting a 40% initially. There's nothing wrong with getting a 52% initially. What's important is make sure that every single time these blocks are reviewed properly. She reviewed properly and the score did not necessarily transform into a 90%, right? She went from 32 to 52 and then to 48 and all of that. But eventually she was able to hit an 80% in general pathology. Now that is general pathology. At least at this point, I can say, okay, she's gotten a grasp of the concepts that she needed to know from general pathology. She's going to forget many of this information, and that is completely fine. She moves on to general farm. I think there were not a lot of blocks, but you notice she actually didn't start from 32% this time around because she was beginning to understand how to study, how to think, which is the most important thing. No matter what you do in this process, if you have someone guiding you through your exam, if you're in a program somewhere studying something, your goal is not what they teach you, because anything they can teach you, you can read in a book. Anything they can teach you, you can watch in a video somewhere. What you're looking to do is to listen to that professor, that tutor, that person as much as possible and see how they process information, and hopefully you will learn how to think. If you can learn how to think during your step 1 preparation, your step 2 preparation will be much easier. You're going to basically be able to maneuver by yourself for the most part, if you paid attention well enough when you were preparing for step 1. But she moved on to general farm. I think there was just a block. She had 55%. I was like, okay, that looks good. We reviewed, did some MBME questions. And then she moved to cardiovascular system, a 40%, a 55%. She moved to respiratory, 68%, 68%. Notice something. Her scores, this is someone that was always scoring 32% for years of preparing. All she needed was to study correctly, to actually review the questions the way they are supposed to be reviewed, and notice she's no more scoring 40%. She's not even starting at 32. So you may still start at 32%. That is fine. You may get 32% the first time in general pathology. You did a review, maybe you improved to 60 something, 70 something percent. 80% is a very big one. And then the next subject, you start again at 40%. No problems. You keep reviewing. But typically, as you start getting a hang of the organ systems, what you're going to notice is that subsequent systems will not need to start at such low scores. You're actually going to begin to score a little better, a little better. And you notice that trend with her going forward. So she did cardiovascular system pharmacology. She got a 40%, then 55%. Respiratory system, she went straight for the 68%. I was very impressed to see this performance. I was very, very impressed by this performance. And then she went on to gastroenterology. Look at that, 66, 70%, 67, 68, 68. She is, at this point, she's much better than the average student preparing for the USMLE. Although her progress is looks like it's so fast, but of course she's having someone meet with her almost on a daily basis and put her through all this information. You don't necessarily have to get this much progress in a short time. Even if you start from 40%, 50%, like what she has here, there is nothing wrong with that. The key is to note that it's okay to get low scores. But what is important is that you review that block of question extensively, properly. The emphasis is on properly. I can't overemphasize this. I can't state this enough. How many students I have seen that go through the whole of UWorld and reviewed nothing correctly. You just read UWorld, and at the end of the day, when I see it, I'm like, oh my goodness. So emphasis on proper review. You don't need to go back to reread the material. This student told me she would go back and read the whole of general pathology again after this 32%, or go back and start from the beginning, or go into this state and then call her psychiatrist and say, oh my God, I think my anxiety is getting the most of me. We'll talk about that psychiatrist and most of the psychiatrists that I've seen some students go through in another video. But the point is, she began making progress. Look, she's hitting 68%. Someone that had never gotten above a 40% in the past. She's 66, 58, 53. I don't hate any of these at all. Microbiology was a strong point for her. She was even in the 70s. Immunology, she was 70s. Look at these scores. This is excellent. She took a holiday at this point. I try to document all these things because I like to compare students, right? I see how this student is performing versus how this student is performing. I'm looking for what the differences between these students are. What is the difference between students that have to take care of kids, students that have to work and study, students that just have to study, students that have been studying for a long time, and students that are just starting out studying. What's the difference between all these people, and how do their unique conditions affect their study process, right? All of these things play a role actually in how you study, and I realized that a lot of these students would need different approaches to be able to maximize the time that they have. So she took a break and she came back and she went back to 50%, 43%, but she quickly caught up, so I was happy. And then here again, you see she made progress. Now, we studied this way. Okay, so the study is actually occurring this way upward. So she started here and she finished here. What you'd notice is subject by subject study, she was scoring 70%. She had improved significantly. She was doing well. She was happy. And at the end of this study, she took an MBME and scored a 216. That was in January this year, actually. So she was very excited. I was quite happy about it. I said, oh, that's a good score. Because, of course, I expected her to score something decent from a what was the last score she had? The last score was a 167. So I was quite happy with a 216 at this point. And given that the USMLE is now pass or fail, I thought, okay, she could just take the exam and pass. But she said no, she did not want to take the exam. She wanted to do some more studying. She said she wanted to have a very deep understanding so that when she starts step 2, it's going to be easy. This is a student that can now diagnose almost anything when you give her a VNet. Even if she misses the question, she almost definitely knows the diagnosis many of the time. So we started looking at mixed blocks of UWorld. Okay, she took UWorld self-assessment, got a 230, not a big deal. That was in February. But before that, we moved on to look at mixed blocks. Like I said in the last video, when you go through the first phase of your studying, system by system, and you must do system by system first, in my opinion, you're going to improve. She improved. She scored 70%, 68%, 75%. You saw from the last chart. That is system by system. She's mastered the organ systems. Now you begin to look at mixed blocks. So we went into the mixed blocks. When you start going through these mixed blocks, your scores may drop. I expect them to drop because she went through general pathology sometime in October. By December, she was at reproductive system. And now she's going into these mixed blocks. She's forgotten some of the things she did 3 months ago. So I expect the scores to drop. And drop they did. The very first mixed block she did, she had a 48%. She said, she messaged me, she sent me a message on Instagram. I don't know if I need to show you guys that. But she said, oh my God, I have failed again. I'm back to 0. Oh my God, I need to start studying all over again. And when we met that day, I said, no, I actually expected that you would score 40 something percent. Right? I expected your score to drop. At this point, she asked me what to do. Am I supposed to go and start reading again? What exactly am I supposed to do now? I said, no, you don't need to go and start reading. You need to review that block. That's all. And the same thing goes to you out there. When you begin doing mixed blocks, your scores will drop. You may miss a lot of questions from renal, a lot of questions from microbiology. Again, you don't need to go back and start studying those things. You just need to review the concepts that were tested in that specific block. Review them properly. She did review them. I went through some of the questions with her. I saw the ones she got wrong. Why did you get them wrong? What were you thinking? We went through all of that. She did a next block and she got 49%. Oh my goodness. Kennedy, we reviewed the last block. Why am I still getting 49%? I said it is again very normal that you will get 49%. The first block was a mix of all the systems. A lot of things you must have forgotten. Now you've reviewed them, you've reinforced them. The second block is a different mix of all the organ systems. Once again, you are going to have problems. The third block See, the increment is literally 1%, 48%, 49%, 50%, 47%. She said I even scored worse. These are different days. Each of these is one day. And she was really getting sad. And I kept reassuring her that that is perfectly normal. I expect you to perform this way. This is perfectly normal. 51%. She said, oh my God, Kennedy, I think I'm doing something wrong. What do you think we are doing wrong? What do you think needs to change? And this is a common theme. Some people will not be patient enough, or you can't just accept to yourself that this is normal. And it's understandable that it's very difficult to look at yourself, score 70%, and then accept that 51% is okay or 40 something percent is okay. But remember, it's mixed blocks. It's mixed blocks. It's a mix of everything. When you scored 70% in gastrointestinal system, it was pure gastrointestinal system. You had just finished studying gastrointestinal system. Now it's been 3 months since you studied gastrointestinal system. So you may encounter some things from GI and get them mixed up. And that is perfectly fine. Well, that was the first week. So that's the A section. Then the B section, in the subsequent week, you can see her begin to make progress, right? 53, 55. And then, boom, there is this dip over here. On this day, she said she wanted to call her therapist to be sure that everything is fine. Maybe her mental health is not. They said I would definitely make a video on mental health diagnosis and the USMLE. That she has to call her therapist. She thinks something is wrong. She can't explain it. Oh my God. And I had to keep saying, that is okay. Review the block and move on. Don't go to read nothing. She said, there are some concepts they asked that I failed. Oh my God, I thought I understood metabolic acidosis and alkalosis. You will miss some questions that you think you should know. Again, review the block and move on. She said, okay, okay, oh my God, okay, okay. But at least she went on to review the block, and following that, she hit 70%, okay? 60, 60, 68, 60, 78%. The day she got 78%, she said, oh, it was a mistake. I think it's because there was a lot of microbiology questions. There are a lot of you out there. You know how to beat up yourself for failures, but you don't know how to accept success. When you do well, you say it was a mistake. When you perform badly, you say it's because you are a terrible student. If you hold self-deprecating beliefs like these ones, you will find it very difficult to encourage yourself to move on. You will always need external source of assurance and encouragement. And if you don't have people to do that for you, you're going to have problems. When you fail, it's because you failed. It's because there are things you need to learn. When you do well, it's because you did well. It's because you encountered questions that you understood pretty well. You should be able to rationalize to this point where you accept both your failures and your successes pretty comfortably, right? You score a 60%. Oh, I scored a 60%. There were a lot of questions I missed. I guess I wasn't thinking right. What did I need to do? Why did I miss them? When you get a 78%, you go, oh, I scored 78%. Oh, I did very well in this block. Let me look at the ones I missed. Why did I miss them? And let me see the ones I got right. I think I must really understand those concepts. That is how you think. That is a healthy way to process passing with a good score or not a good score. If you can't do this, then you're going to be a victim of one of these mental health diagnoses that we're going to discuss eventually in a subsequent video. So she said that this 78% was just a mistake. It's just a fluke. Oh my God, I don't even know how that happened. How did that happen? I said, okay, you're doing very well. But at this point, I knew she had improved way beyond where I knew how to have started from. I knew she had become basically very good at this stuff. So I wasn't troubled at all. She went on to score 65% back to baseline, 70, 70. And then there was a 50%. She complained a little about it, but she was beginning to accept that she was going to have some low days and some high days. And then she hits an 80%. She was elated. She was happy about this. She messaged an old teacher to tell her she scored an 80%. So this it was now looking good, right? She now realized that okay, this is working for me. I think I'm going to do well eventually. Again, she scored a 50%, went back to 65, 73. You know, you see the scores fluctuate. So right now I would say she was averaging a 60% or 65%. You're going to see your scores move in this manner. It is not time to go back and try to reread. It is not time to lose heart and say, oh my God, I'm failing again. I can't do this. And then you get depressed or you become irritated at your performance, yourself, and then you're looking for the next cheat to get out of this, for the next shortcut to boost your score. No, you just stick to your structure. You're going to review the block properly and you're going to move on from there. But she moved on like that until of late I decided, okay, maybe I should start recording her reports and seeing the averages. Here you see her hit 68%. She said it felt easy and the average was actually here 70, the average was just 58%. I said that's very good. 70 again, 58, 63, 65. She said the block felt hard. I said, okay, that's fine. It felt easy. Okay, that's fine as well. And this is the last week or so. What you'd notice is she's constantly at 70 or above 70. So this student that started out at a 32%, which is a lot of you out there. She worked her way up to an 80%, worked her way up 60, 70, 50s. She basically did well with most of these individual organ systems. Started with the mixed systems, with the mixed blocks, came down to 40 something percent, 50 something percent. Look how she slowly built up those scores again to a level where she can now almost consistently score 70% on a block of UWorld. I mean, if you're scoring 70% on a block of UWorld, you're way above the average student. So I was very impressed with this student's performance. I was very impressed at how much work she had put in. And a lot of you out there, you're putting in the work, but you don't know exactly what you're supposed to be doing or what you're not supposed to be doing. And that is actually a major part of the problem for many students. Stick to your structure. If you've not watched the video on USMLE structure, it's the last video I posted. Click on the link above here. Watch that video. Make sure that you're starting out your USMLE preparation right. Make sure that as you start preparing, you're not changing resources. You're not tempted to switch videos. Oh, if I use this, I'll do better. If I use that, I'll do better. Maybe you will, maybe not. But most of the time, it's not about that. It's about sticking to structure, proper review of your question banks whenever you do them, and your score will definitely improve. If you've not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe down below. There are a lot of information that you can use on your journey to the USMLE, whether step 1 or step 2 CK, that will really help you in this process. Until next time, I'll catch you guys soon. And don't forget, you can subscribe for the test taking mastery wait list down below as well. That course will be out very soon. Until next time, I'll see you guys shortly.